Good news for users of Affinity and Resolve. With the upcoming release of Resolve 21, Affinity documents will be supported natively. But that's not all. Resolve is going a step further by introducing a new photo tab. And at first glance, it feels like the beginning of a real Lightroom alternative. So you start by importing your photos, which you can do from the Media tab. Just drag a folder from Explorer or Finder to the master bin. This will copy the structure of your folder and put a reference to your files. Keep in mind that your photos are not really imported inside Resolve. It is just a reference. The good part is that your photos on the disk will never be modified. Once the photos are imported, we can switch to the New Photos tab. In the Media panel, we can see the images we imported with the same structure as on disk. If you have the Studio version, you can have the local AI model index the photos in your project or library. Once the photos are indexed, you can use the search to find a photo. For example, a zebra. When you first use the feature, you have the option to download two models, a faster or a better model. I used the faster model, and as you can see, it somehow thinks this lion is a zebra. Maybe with the better model this will not happen. But it is a 6 gigs download. The AI indexing also recognizes faces, which is pretty cool. You can name persons or just use it to find faces in your library. By the way, the AI indexing also produces videos, and the search will also include parts of videos matching the search criteria, which is pretty awesome. Back to photos. In order to fully utilize Resolve color grading tools, you need to create a photo album first. To create a photo album, just right-click in the Media panel in the Photos tab. Once you have photo albums, you can quickly switch between them from the drop-down menu centered on the top of the Preview panel. This saves you the time to navigate in the Media bin to open them. To populate your photo album, just navigate in your Media bins and drag and drop the photos to the Photo Album panel located at the bottom. A photo library for Resolve is basically a special timeline containing the photos you added to the album. When we switch to the Edit page, we can see this more clearly. As the photos are now in a timeline, you can now go to the Color tab and select the photos to color grade them to your liking. I'm guessing the Color tab requires a timeline, and by using the photo library, Resolve can now color grade the individual clips, or in this case, the photos. Resolve has maybe the best color grading tools in the industry, so having a photo workflow in Resolve is a very nice add-on. In theory, this is nothing new. You were always able to use the Color tab to color grade photos. But it is nice that Blackmagic now assists you in this process with Photos tab. A cool feature they added is versioning. You can save any changes you made to a photo as a version. This is great if you want to experiment and is very similar to the snapshot functionality in Affinity. When you have a RAW photo, the RAW controls will be available in the Inspector panel. I think you can compare this with the Develop persona in Affinity. To be honest, even though it is pretty basic, the results are pretty good. Affinity itself doesn't have much smart features and has a limited set of effects. Resolve has a bigger community and comes out of the box with quite a bit of effects. The AI face effects are fun to play with and can be useful in some cases as long as you don't overdo it. Trying to achieve the same in Affinity will take you much longer. So if you're looking for a quick color grade with some quick adjustments, I think Resolve is an excellent add-on to Affinity. It's a bit like Lightroom versus Photoshop. Another cool effect they introduced in this version is the Cinefocus effect, which by the way looks pretty impressive. You can set the focus point, and with a couple of sliders you get amazing results. Combine this with the film look or the film damage effect and you have something that looks amazing in a couple of seconds. But the coolest part for me is the native support of Affinity documents in Resolve. You can literally just drag and drop an Affinity file into your media bin without any conversions and start using it directly in your video compositions. What makes it even more awesome is that the file is a live file. That means I can use it like any other asset, add transitions, effects, keyframes, you name it. But when I go back to Affinity, make a change and hit save, That change automatically updates right inside Resolve. No re-exporting or relinking. But it goes further than that. You can even split the Affinity file into separate layers in the Edit page. Right-click on the timeline and choose Split Layers in place. Resolve will now split the layers in multiple tracks. Keep in mind that you will lose the original blending modes used in the Affinity document. Maybe in a future update they will support this. You can, however, manually change the blend mode in the inspector panel of a track. Having the layers separated in different tracks allows you to do custom animations for the layers. Pretty neat. By the way, you can also use an Affinity document in a Fusion composition. I'll quickly add the Fusion composition from the FX panel and open the Fusion tab. After I add a background node and link this to the media out, I have a working composition. To import an Affinity document, use the Fusion import menu. Affinity is not on the list, but the PSD import will do the trick. In the Open File dialog, make sure to set the filter to all files and now select your Affinity document. Resolve will now import the file with each layer on a separate node. You can now apply your effects as you please. I believe the layers are imported as rendered images, so you cannot make changes to a layer. Also keep in mind, just like in the edit page, you will lose your blend settings. One disadvantage of this method is that the imported Affinity document is not live. So if you make changes to the original Affinity document, it will not update the Fusion nodes, which kind of makes sense as this is an import instead of a reference to the document. As a heavy Resolve user, I'm glad that Affinity is now natively supported and can't wait for the final release. During my testing, I did encounter some performance issues with the public beta, so keep that in mind before you try out. Thanks again for tuning in and hit the like and subscribe buttons before you leave. See you in the next video.